All right, Jaguars, here is the piece that we are going to read today. It is called Three Cheers for the Nanny State. It's on pages 277 and 280 of your textbook. Let's read this. Let's do our quick flyby here. Now, if you remember a flyby, we're going to look for headings and bolded words or things in the margins. So the term nanny state is a negative nickname for a welfare state, which is a model of government that takes direct responsibility for the protection and well-being of its citizens. Welfare states offer basic social support, such as free healthcare or low-income housing, but also create laws and policies that attempt to control or influence how people behave. So we can understand that this is going to be about that. It's going to be about government control. And we can see impose, rational, justifiable, principle, status quo. So we can definitely see some of our vocabulary words in here. So let's go ahead and get started here. This is on page 61 of 168 in your online textbook too. Why has there been so much fuss about New York City's attempt to impose a soda ban, or more precisely, a ban on large-size sugary drinks? After all, people can still get as much soda as they want. This isn't prohibition. A prohibition was when the United States had a constitutional amendment banning alcohol back in the early 1920s. It's just that getting it would take slightly more effort. So, why is this such a big deal? Obviously, it's not about soda. It's because such a ban suggests that sometimes we need to be stopped from doing foolish stuff, and this has become, in contemporary American politics, highly controversial, no matter how trivial the particular issue. Large cups of soda as symbols of human dignity? Really? Americans, even those who generally support government intervention in our daily lives, have a reflexive response to being told what to do, and it's not a positive one. It's this common desire to be left alone that prompted the Mississippi legislature earlier this month to pass a ban on bans, a law that forbids municipalities to place local restrictions on food or drink. We have a vision of ourselves as free, rational beings who are totally capable of making all the decisions we need to in order to create a good life. Give us complete liberty, and barring natural disasters, we'll end up where we want to be. It's a nice vision, one that makes us feel proud of ourselves, but it's false. John Stuart Mill wrote in 1859 that the only justifiable reason for interfering in someone's freedom of action was to prevent harm to others. According to Mill's harm principle, we should almost never stop people from behavior that affects only themselves, because people know best what they themselves want. That almost, though, is important. It's fair to stop us, Mill argued, when we are acting out of ignorance and doing something we'll pretty definitely regret. You can stop someone from crossing a bridge that is broken, he said, because you can be sure no one wants to plummet into the river. Mill just didn't think that this would happen very often. Mill was wrong about that, though. A lot of times we have a good idea of where we want to go, but a really terrible idea of how to get there. It's well established by now that we often don't think very clearly when it comes to choosing the best means to attain our ends. We make errors. This has been the object of an enormous amount of study over the past few decades, and what has been discovered is that we are all prone to identifiable and predictable miscalculations. Research by psychologists and behavioral economists, including the Nobel Prize winner Daniel Kahneman, and his research partner Amos Tversky, identified a number of areas in which we fairly dependably fail. They call such a tendency a cognitive bias, and there are many of them, a lot of ways in which our own minds trip us up. For example, we suffer from an optimism bias. That is, we tend to think that however likely a bad thing is to happen to most people in our situation, it's less likely to happen to us, not for any particular reason, but because we are irrationally optimistic, because our present bias, when we need to take a small, easy step to bring about some future good, we fail to do it, not because we've decided it's a bad idea, but because we procrastinate. All right, we're going to have this be a two-parter, so we're going to pick up off paragraph 10 right here. Be sure to watch part 2. Thanks, guys.